This molecule is a battery that recharges the energy of your cells. Its popularity in gyms is extremely high, but what's interesting is that the scientific community continues to discover new uses and benefits. Far from being just a help to gain muscle, creatine can make you age better, help prevent various diseases, improve your mental health, and optimize your cognitive function. Is the day near when this nutraceutical will be used daily in hospitals and clinics around the world? Dr. Borja Bandera discusses unconventional uses of monohydrate creatine, starting by asking what creatine is. Creatine is a molecule formed by 3 amino acids: arginine, methionine, and glycine. Your body produces some creatine. Meat and fish contain some more creatine, and you can supplement with it. These are the 3 fundamental sources of creatine monohydrate. The main role of creatine, simplifying it to the maximum, is to recycle adenosine triphosphate in the muscle, in the brain, and in other cells. For what? So that your cells can continue to have energy and therefore function. Adenosine triphosphate, remember, is the energy exchange currency that your biology uses, the way your cells store chemical energy. Without adenosine triphosphate, your cells die, so there must necessarily be mechanisms that are continuously generating adenosine triphosphate. You might say, but then, Borja, can't adenosine triphosphate be stored inside the cell as just adenosine triphosphate? No, it can't. We can store immediate principles like fats, proteins, or carbohydrates, but we can't store large amounts of adenosine triphosphate. It's like asking if we can store light to illuminate our room. You can't. You must have a mechanism that generates electrical energy so that light is constantly being emitted and therefore you can see. But when that mechanism fails, darkness arrives. Similarly, there is a machinery called metabolism, which in your body is using fats, proteins, carbohydrates to generate adenosine triphosphate uninterruptedly. And basically, creatine helps with that continuous recycling of adenosine triphosphate. Conventional use of creatine. What is creatine normally used for? The conventional use of creatine? And the reasons why 95% of people use it are to increase muscle mass and increase your strength. That's it. And let's be clear, does creatine, without having a huge or comparable effect to drugs, work to achieve this? Let's say it's the most effective legal supplement. Why? Basically, it helps you train with more intensity. And it exerts a volumizing effect on the muscle cell, which along with the mechanical stimulus of weights, increases muscle growth. Weights refer to resistance exercises using body weight, kettlebells, or bands. Creatine does not exert hormonal effects, and its most known side effect is weight gain derived from intracellular water retention. But if you are a person with pathologies interested in optimizing your brain, in aging well, or you simply want to know in what other ways creatine can help you since you are taking it, then you need to know its less conventional uses. Ergogenic effect in endurance sports. First, ergogenic means it improves performance. As we just saw, it's clear that creatine helps improve strength, power, muscle mass, and aerobic performance. You can already imagine which sports it can be most useful for, right? Futurism and strength sports in general, but also team sports where there are changes of pace or CrossFit. But what happens with its effects at the endurance level? More moderate aerobic efforts, running, cycling, swimming, rowing. The answer to whether a runner, rower, or cyclist should take creatine depends on various factors. On one hand, if you start with low creatine stores in the muscle, starting to take creatine will make you gain weight, not fat, mind you. And this increase in weight can negatively affect endurance or ultra-endurance sports. But aside from the weight factor, there are also recently discovered reasons to take creatine in these sports. When taken with carbohydrates, creatine improves the resynthesis of glycogen in the muscle. This is beneficial in any competitive or amateur activity that lasts more than a few seconds and involves high intensities. Creatine reduces levels of inflammation and oxidative stress. Indeed, it is an antioxidant and has the potential to increase mitochondrial biogenesis. What is that? Well, it's the formation of new mitochondria. What generates energy in your cells? The mitochondria? Do you remember the light analogy? And do you remember that we always needed power plants to generate adenosine triphosphate? Those power plants are your mitochondria. So this would translate into better post-workout or post-competition recovery and better training adaptations. A compelling reason to take creatine also in endurance sports. In the moments of competition where the pace has to be increased, such as in the so-called end spurt or final stretch of a race, creatine can make the difference. By improving your anaerobic capacity in those peaks of intensity, it will allow you to ramp up in decisive moments of the sports test. Creatine as a possible neurotransmitter communication in the nervous system requires your neurons to transmit chemical signals. Among them, these signals are precisely neurotransmitters, neuromodulators, and neuropeptides. Recently, using a combination of very complex techniques, including electron microscopy, it has been concluded that creatine could be a novel neurotransmitter in the brains of mammals like dopamine or serotonin. This discovery is not trivial at all, as it places creatine at a level of importance much higher than what we were already used to. Indeed, if confirmed, this would change medical textbooks forever, wouldn't it? Possible therapeutic agent in Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is the most common neurodegenerative disorder worldwide, with a growing prevalence as life expectancy increases in developed and developing countries. And it is expected that there will be more and more Alzheimer's, since we are living longer in almost every part of the world. So far, the best way to cure this disease is to prevent it from appearing. We don't have therapeutic, curative tools. However, recent studies are discussing a central element in the development of the disease, the alteration in brain bioenergetics. What does this mean? It means that neurons and glia, cells that support neurons in this disease, do not produce enough energy in the brain. Are those power plants, remember, completely altered? The phosphocreatine system provides a lot of energy to the brain, so its supplementation would somehow alleviate this alteration, improving the symptoms. This is what occurs, at least partially, in animal models of Alzheimer's disease. Creatine supplementation improves symptoms by improving brain bioenergetics, maintaining a constant energy flow in that organ. But how could creatine help in humans to improve the cognitive decline associated with this cruel disease? Well, in different ways. For example, by improving brain insulin resistance. Insulin resistance not only occurs in the liver or muscle, it also occurs in the brain, and it makes it unable to use glucose efficiently. Also, by increasing mitochondrial functionality and its energy production, that is, improving the power plants. Also, by a direct antioxidant effect of creatine, which acts as a garbage dump for reactive oxygen species. That is, it collects them and thus prevents them from causing damage in the brain. This is exactly what the human clinical trials that are already being considered will have to confirm. Remember, creatine supplements are safe without serious side effects and may reduce depression risk. A study published in 2020 evaluated data from National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, a large population-based nutritional survey study. What did it find? Well, it found something curious, that those who took more creatine in their diet had a lower risk of depression. This ties in perfectly with the proposed role of creatine as a neurotransmitter and would place special emphasis on the need to provide extra creatine. In those people who are going through mental health problems, who have personal or family history of mental illness, or simply whose diet is naturally low in creatine, like vegetarian or vegan diets. Cognitive enhancer when you haven't slept well. The brain is the organ that demands the most energy, perhaps along with the immune system, consuming approximately 20% of daily adenosine triphosphate. As we have seen, creatine is a fast regenerator of adenosine triphosphate, which is very useful. When your brain faces acute and chronic stressors, a clear acute stressor. It's something we all expose ourselves to from time to time, lack of sleep. In this study, after a 24-hour sleep deprivation, as could perfectly be a medical guard, participants who took creatine improved their reaction times, emotional state, and overall executive function. Sleep is irreplaceable, but sometimes life takes it away from you, for better or for worse. On these occasions, you need to know how to have resources. Metabolic improvements. Can creatine improve your metabolism? This recent study concludes that 4 weeks of taking creatine managed to improve triglycerides and fasting glucose. In patients with an average age of 58 years, patients who were not necessarily athletes, given that in animal studies creatine has been shown to improve peripheral and cerebral insulin sensitivity, could this be the mechanism that explains the study's results? This molecule in some way improves the ability of your cells to consume energy substrates, as it enhances the functionality of the mitochondria. We've said it before. In any case, the study sample is very small and it's one of the first works to evaluate or focus on these metabolic effects. But if confirmed, combining aerobic strength training and creatine would be a synergistic trident to heal many aspects of your metabolism. In conclusion, without being miraculous, creatine is one of the supplements that can improve your health and quality of life if used intentionally. It's one of the few supplements I take daily for years, without a doubt. Now yes, thank you for your attention. See you very soon. A big hug, take good care of yourself, and keep empowering.